lovely viewer, and welcome to day 8 of 12 Wild Christmas Review Days. Today's film is a film that a few years ago I didn't think was real. You guys remember The Year Without a Santa Claus, the Rankin Bass film? I did talk about that film in the original miniseries. Well, apparently somebody thought it'd be a good idea to do a remake of that film, and they, instead of making it an animation, they made it into a live-action television film. And when I learned about this, I legitimately didn't believe it was real. There were no clips of it. There were photos, but the photos looked fake. Even the poster didn't look real. It looked like somebody just took a basic photo of Santa and just put him on this photoshopped poster somebody did in their free time. But it's real. I found the movie free on YouTube, and I sat through the whole thing. This is The Year Without a Santa Claus from 2006. Released in 2006, this TV movie remake retells the Rankin Bass story, where Santa Claus, this time played by John Goodman, is feeling disgruntled this holiday season and decides to take the year off. Two of his elves, however, try to change his mind, and they both approach a young man named Iggy to help them get Santa back on his feet by showing him what the true meaning of the season is all about. I don't have very much to say about this film, honestly. I sat through the whole thing, and when I was done, I was just like, okay, somebody made this. Someone made this film, and now it's over. I gotta be honest, John Goodman's a pretty good Santa. I think he was he Santa in SpongeBob also? He may have been Santa Claus various different times throughout his career. The Miser song is in it, and it's not horrible, honestly. Like, that's the thing, it wasn't a horrible film, but it wasn't a good film. My first question is, why did you want to remake this film? It was perfectly fine the way it was. And that's, obviously a debate because they've remade the Rudolph story multiple times. And to say that Santa Claus is Coming to Town has been remade, that is kind of false because there's a bunch of different films that discuss the origin of Santa Claus. I just never... The history of this film for me has just been a roller coaster. Like, for all these years, I actually thought it wasn't a real thing. To come to find out, yeah, it's real. It's a real thing. I think that's just the main thing I'm the most astonished about. I mean, it was a film. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a retelling of the Rankin Bass story. That's it. It's not a beat-on-beat story. In fact, the Miser song is the only song in the film. They have a boxing match for some reason. The live-action film can definitely make it look like a cheap cash-in for any studio. They were just like, oh, well, this was pretty popular. Let's remake it to make a few extra bucks this holiday season. Do I think it needed to be made? No. It's definitely got a TV movie feel to it. Does that make sense? Like, you could sit there and watch a TV film, and you know it's a TV film, because it is low budget. The acting isn't superb, but it's not horrible either. Like, it's a mix. It's the same feeling as if you watch a Disney Channel original movie. Like, you see the cheesiness, but it's not that horrible of a product. That's what this felt like. Santa felt disgruntled in this film. I think he just... Didn't he, in the original film, get a cold? Wasn't he sick? In this film, he wasn't sick. He was just tired. He was just like, I don't want to do this year. I'm going to bed. That's all he was doing. I don't think he got sick. I think he just got bored of the idea of Christmas. In the original, Mrs. Claus played a pretty big role. I honestly have more memory of the elves than I do Mrs. Claus, but I know she was a pretty big part in it. Santa actually encounters the Miser brothers in this film. He didn't do that in the original film. That's different. If you watch it, you can easily point out the differences between the live action and the stop motion, if you know the stop motion by heart. I mean, I don't. What else am I supposed to say here? What am I supposed to say? The Year Without a Santa Claus. It was fine. It was a film. It's definitely better than the Home Alone films. I was able to see it on YouTube. I have no idea if it's even on YouTube at this point. It may have been taken down. Maybe it's one of those films that you have to either rent or buy. When I saw it, it was free. But again, I don't even know if it's up. So I'm just going to say this. If you find this movie, if you come across the live-action Year Without a Santa, give it a watch and then make up your own mind of whether or not you thought it was good or not. I think it's okay. It's not the best thing I've ever seen, but the best thing about opinions is that we can each have one and we can come to terms with our own opinion to be satisfied with what we've seen. So I'm definitely going to recommend it. Give it a watch if you're able to track it down, and if it doesn't look real, then it's probably this film. And with that, that's all I have to say. It was fine, but it also wasn't great. It's a big question mark. What was this? Why was this a thing? I'll be honest, I did have a little fun with this. Can you tell? I had a little fun with this film. I'm just such in awe that this actually exists. So with that said, why don't we move on away from the Year Without a Santa and actually have a year with Santa? Specifically, a kid dressed as Santa. He's not actually Santa, he just looks like him. Which makes it sound like I'm going to be talking about a child Santa, but that's not actually what the film is about. If you come back tomorrow, you'll see what I'm talking about. With that all said, that brings us to the end of day 8. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for another film discussion. Thanks for watching The Wild Review. I'm The Wild Reviewer, and you just saw me review a thing.